Alright guys, now before I get into this video, I just want to let you know there'll be no live streams today. I've got a busy morning, I got a meeting this morning, and then this afternoon I'm meeting some friends. I will be recording a morning briefing after this video for my other channel, the Duncan Oldham channel. The link to that will be in the video description of this video. The logo will pop up, or the picture will pop up on the end of the video. And over there we talk Liverpool, cop talk, we talk me, we talk you, we talk everything. So if you enjoy my content here, you might like to be over there as well. So on last night's stream, obviously the Newcastle developments came up to do with this Hugo Ekitike. You know what I'm like with words. And basically, multiple reports, multiple articles, multiple opinions, etc., etc., etc. And it obviously set off the Liverpool fan base, with regards to Liverpool's interest in Isak. Now, I've put the article to Dave, my AI assistant that I've been training for a long time now. Believe it or not, we work together every morning when I go to the cafe and review the Spanish papers. He's like, right, come on, Dunk, let's get on with it. And it's like, I'm really fucking real person, help me, I swear down. And I submitted the article to him, usual, he knows what he has to do. And we're going to go through this together, all right, with you. So the summary of the article, this is David Ornstein's article for The Athletic. There was also another journalist contributed to it, which, let me just tell you his name. Where are you? Chris Waugh, is it? Chris Waugh? W-A-U-G-H? But I'm more bothered about, the fact that Ornstein's got his name on this article for obvious reasons. So, could Liverpool, now pounce for Isak, Alexander Isak? That's what every Liverpool fan's thinking. I'm going to give my opinion, but we're going to go through this. So, summary of the article, I'm not going to read it to you. I'm sure you've seen it. If you haven't, any article that's behind a paywall at The Athletic or The Times, websites like that, if you copy the URL and go to a website called archive.ph, you're going to type that into your browser, archive.ph. The second box down that page, post it in, and it will open up the article for you. So my friend says, I actually do genuinely subscribe to The Athletic and The Times for the Cop Talk community. But maybe you don't. So, Ornstein's article, this is the one that interests me, right? This is the one that I pay attention to. Newcastle working on deal worth around 75 million euros for Eintracht Frankfurt's Hugo Ekitike, right? So a summary of the article is as follows. Newcastle are in talks in a deal worth around 75 million euros. Ekitike scored 22 goals and provided 12 assists in 24-25, helping Frankfurt finish third in the Bundesliga and qualify for the Champions League. The Frenchman was previously linked with Newcastle in 2022, and although the deal collapsed then, the club has remained interested. Manchester United and Chelsea have also shown interest in Ekitike, but Chelsea have since signed other strikers. If signed, he would become Newcastle's most expensive ever signing, overtaking the 71.2 million euros paid for Alexander Isak. Liverpool implications, could this open the door for Isak? Yes, potentially. Here's why. 1. Newcastle may need to sell. With a deal for Ekitike approaching 75 million euros and given Premier League PSR profit and sustainability rules, Newcastle may need to balance the books. Isak remains one of their most valuable assets and could command 80 to 100 million pounds, 93 to 117 million euros if sold. This could make him the most logical high-value exit. Squad congestion, number 2. Ekitike's arrival would create, a logjam up top. Isak, Ekitike, Anthony Gordon, Harvey Barnes, Anthony Elanga. Managing this many attacking options with Champions League rotation in mind is one thing, but keeping all of them happy while staying within wage and PSR limits is another. 3. Liverpool's long-running interest. Ornstein specifically mentions Liverpool's historical interest in Isak in the article. If Newcastle need to make room financially or tactically, Liverpool could sense an opportunity. While no formal move is mentioned, this deal could represent the moment Liverpool have waited for, a natural trigger to ignite talks. So an analysis of Ornstein and Watt's tone, balanced, factual, clearly laying groundwork that a major move is brewing. Mentions Liverpool only once, but crucially in reference to previous Isak links. That's a classic Ornstein breadcrumb. That was mainly in relation to the main report there concerning Ornstein. Regarding this other chap, he presents Ekitike as a marquee signing and notes Newcastle's previous failures to land him. Talks about ambition, but also slyly hints at difficult questions ahead. Squad size, game time, PSR strain, tactical fit. The phrase enviable problems to have is telling. It's a polite way of saying someone might have to go. So key takeaways for you, for us, for Liverpool fans. Monitor this closely. If Newcastle close the Ekitike deal, Isak becomes a plausible high-value sale. Liverpool already admire Isak, and he fits the kind of flexible mobile forward Slot would love. With Darwin Núñez's inconsistency, Isak would be a statement signing. Isak speaks fluent English, has Premier League experience, and at 24 years of age fits Liverpool's evolving age profile. If Newcastle complete the Ekitike signing, it could quietly be the first domino to fall in a much bigger picture, and Liverpool could be ready to pounce. Now, Newcastle, serious business, right? They're doing some serious business. And, all of the journalists, when I say journalists, I don't mean Twitter twats, right? I mean journalists. All of the journalists that covered this yesterday or last night, whenever it was, they all said that Ekitike was to be played alongside Isak, right? It was like every single one of them made sure that bit was mentioned. So that was obviously a briefing from Newcastle. So if Newcastle really do believe that, like we are going to keep, both players, there's not going to be a problem here or anything, then they're going to emphasize that through those journalists, right? But also, if they were thinking to themselves, do you know what, maybe we will cash in, right? Maybe we will squeeze Liverpool, right? You also want to give that impression, even if your intentions are, we might be tempted, because it retains its value, and that's key, right? So the next thing we go to is, where are we with a potential striker, right? Now, recent weeks have obviously been terrible, okay? If you were to go back a few weeks before that horrific situation, I always felt that Liverpool this summer, would sell Núñez, get as much money as they could get from someone for him. Thought they were going to sell Luis Diaz to Barcelona. That could still happen, but Barcelona is starting to look a little bit unlikely, to be honest, but there's the Bayern interest. And I thought they were going to use that, or those funds, to target a high-profile signing. Then we had the Vert stuff, and then I thought, well, does that change things a little bit? Maybe they won't do that now, right? And then obviously we've had tragic events related to the club, and that too, obviously, can affect things. So my thoughts were, and we spoke about this previously, prior to the tragic events of the other week, was that we would do some activity at the beginning of the window. It would then go quiet, and that Liverpool would then peak again at later in the window. And I have always thought that Liverpool might make a move for Isak towards the end of the window, right? But I think they'd need to see some encouragement to do that. And I think they would do it. It's an interesting development, and it's one that Liverpool will be watching. Even whatever your opinion is, you might be a Newcastle fan that's going to caps lock me to death in the comments. I don't know why, because we're only discussing what's happening with your club, right? And if you want to be a big club, right? So when you're a big club, guess what? Other clubs want your players, all right? So you should be happy about that. We go through it. Real Madrid, Barcelona want our fucking players, right? If you're a big club, you can't cry about these things, right? So if you're going to caps lock me to death, that's fine. But Liverpool fans, right? You might think, nah, he's not coming. Nah, maybe he will come or whatever. Newcastle seem very ambitious to me, right? They do seem very ambitious. And I have a lot of time for Newcastle. I don't mind that club at all. I've got a lot of friends in the northeast. I've lived up there. I really, want Newcastle to be successful. Not at our expense, but I do like Newcastle. And they are looking serious. But at the end of the day, there are these, how do you keep all these players happy and stay within your rules, in terms of finances? And maybe you don't need to do anything now in terms of finances, but maybe, because it goes over a period of time, right? It's certainly very interesting. Going back to Liverpool's situation, like I say, I thought we would target a high-profile striker. The only striker that I have ever had any kind of knowledge about Liverpool actually having some interest and actually sitting down with anyone was Sesko. Benjamin Sesko, is it? See, we don't even talk about him. No one talks about him. And that was back in February. And since then, we've never heard a thing. We've never heard a thing. And I don't see him being linked with other clubs. I mean, I'm sure you see his name thrown around by Twitter twats and people like that. But I mean, incredibly, Arsenal, but Arsenal get linked with all the strikers. Ekitike, I thought a couple of weeks ago, prior to all that happened, was starting to sound like the possibly the most realistic, because Isak, difficult, highly expensive and whatnot. But the thing is with Ekitike and Sesko and the other fucker, they're all really expensive players, expensive strikers for what they are with no experience. So if you're going to start splashing around 80 million or something like that on an unproven striker in the Premier League, then it would make sense to consider, going all in on Isak. I'm still of the opinion that Liverpool will make it maybe not a bid, maybe just an inquiry or something along the line. But I think if that player indicated in the slightest that he'd be up for a move to Liverpool, Liverpool would swoop. I genuinely believe that, guys. I do. So I think this is just one of those that we have to watch. Maybe that's just common sense. But I do. Listen, some time ago, you know what my memory is like, maybe a year ago, maybe a bit less, I can't remember, when he was being mentioned with us, I was like, don't talk so damn right fucking stupid. All right? But I don't feel like that now. I genuinely don't. But Liverpool need to sell. Liverpool needs some money in. It's definitely one to watch. It's interesting for me because obviously Liverpool have an interest in the players, so it's like, well, could it happen? But it's also interesting, I think, from a football fan's point of view, to see Newcastle being this serious in the market. Is this player really going to come and be second fiddle? I don't know. But if Newcastle do hold on to Isak and a partnership with him works, that's some serious fucking business, that, innit? And that's why it interests me. All right, guys. I'm not sure the video really helps you, really. What I will say is I've seen snippet after snippet after snippet from journalists in the Northeast. And I have seen them saying that, the same thing, sort of like, well, it all sounds good on paper, but the reality is maybe Isak might leave. That's their own journalists saying that, guys. I'm not saying they're all saying it, but some of them are saying, maybe he could get sold in the summer. So it's definitely one to watch. Definitely. No doubt about it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you. Do feel free to chime in if you've got any opinion about it, because this was the main talking point on the stream last night. You can't, just wish things to happen. Do you know what I mean? Well, you can wish things to happen, but that's not how it works. And sometimes people just are convinced it's going to happen, but you've got to really think about it. Could this happen? I think it could, for the reasons given in that analysis of that article. We'll see. All right, guys, if you did appreciate the video, like the video, whatever, please thumbs it up. Please drop me a comment. If you want to buy me a beer or a coffee, there's a love out under the video. I always give a shout out to everyone that does that in my morning briefings. All right, guys, take it easy. Let me know your thoughts. This one's going to interest me, right? Your comments on this. Excuse me, your comments always interest me. But this one is a topic that's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? All right, I'll speak to you in a bit.